into it. Busy. I'm waking up early in the morning, get my hustle on. If you go to war with me, I hope your money long. Told them I ain't here for the games or you sing along. If there's money out here and I can't eat, then we can get along. Let's get into it. Get along. Yeah, I'm hot, boy.
What's good, y'all? It's your boy DJ Duya. Let me just get this background music going. Shout out to my boy Busy, couldn't be on this today, but I wanted to, come on the show and do a little Father's Day edition up for debate. So I'm trying to get the phone line linked up. Just give me a second while I try to do that in the background, but I'm gonna keep speaking to y'all. Oh, the NBA Finals, man, it's come to an end. The Denver Nuggets, congratulations to them. Now, I feel some type of, like I owed him an apology because I said back on, before the playoffs started on NBA radio that I expected the Nuggets to get bounced in the first round. I thought that either the Lakers or the Clippers would take them out in the first round. So I definitely owed them an apology. They went on a historic run. It was I think they won 16-4. I believe, 16-4 for the playoffs, which is one of the better records that anyone's ever had during an NBA playoff run. So shout out to them. Most of you guys know that I'm a Miami Heat supporter. I've been a Heat fan for over 12 years. And they went on a historic run as well, being only the second 8th seed to ever make it to the NBA Finals. The first play-in team to advance, I believe, into the conference finals, and of course the NBA Finals. First play-in team to do that, even though the play-in is virtually a new thing. So it was a great season for them. I think that we're going to see some big changes for the Heat. I think we're going to see a lot of changes throughout the whole league, but we're going to get into all of that in a few. I wanted to talk about JOKIC. He's going to go down in history as one of the better. Wait, I'm getting this pen number in there. Should have did this beforehand. Yeah, he's going to go down as one of the greatest centers of his generation. But if anybody's on here yet, how do you feel like he ranks all time? I mean, I feel like we're in this new social media era of and like basketball and sports analyzation. I feel like we're quick to catapult people into the ranks that they haven't necessarily, ascended to yet. So I've seen a lot of posts that are putting them over Dirk Nowitzki, Kevin Garnett, some of the greatest big men, pause, that have played the game. So me personally, I think that it's a little premature to put it. I think it's a little premature to put JOKIC in that category. Now, if you want to talk about just historic playoff runs, now it was amazing. You can't go against that. Every round he did his thing. He was pretty much an unstoppable force. And like I said, I can't go against that. He was a little shy of having a triple double for the whole playoff run, but I think he was 30 points, or I know he was. I don't want to say 30 points. I don't think he had 30 points, but I know that I'll look it up in a second. But I know he was just short of a triple double for his entire playoff run, which is an amazing feat. Like but like I said, just 2 years ago, maybe what was it? Yeah, 2 years ago, Giannis Antetokounmpo was in the same situation, and I don't feel like he was ascended to this great all-time. I feel like they put him on the mantle as the best player in the world. And I see them doing that same thing with Joker, but I think they're just going a little bit too far with putting him in the all-time great category. I mean, he does have 2 MVPs. He's got a Finals MVP now, and that does put you in elite status. Definitely put you in elite status, but I just feel like you know he's just really coming into his prime, and he has to ascend a little bit more and do more things to be really in that all-time great category. And I mean, I would definitely rank him within the 25 greatest of all time, but to get into that 15, 10 range, you got to do a lot, man. You got to do a lot to get up to into that area. So that's where I feel like he ranks. Like I said, it was a historical performance, and I can't knock that. I definitely wanted to see Miami, win the championship. I thought they deserved it. Making the finals, making the Eastern Conference and the NBA Finals 3 out of the last 4 years is a testament to their hard work, and also their scouting department, going with 7 undrafted players, which is something that I never thought we would see. But yeah, man. So let's get into these. Let's actually we're gonna move away from the finals. The finals was great. The whole playoffs were great. It was something that I didn't expect to happen. Most of the times you can predict these things, and this year was really unpredictable. I'm a Miami Heat fan, and I would have never in 100 times picked them to go from 8th seed to the NBA Finals. They had some help along the way. Giannis being injured in the first round, the Knicks being a fairly new team that's still coming together, and the Celtics coach Joe Mazzulla is his first year, and he doesn't have a lot of coaching experience on this level. That's coming, but I don't want to take away from their run. They had a historic performance against all those teams, and it was disappointing to see them get to the finals and then lose. And what was more disappointing was Jimmy Butler not playing up to the standards that he played up in the bubble when he was averaging 27, 7, and I believe 6. I just threw those numbers out there. It could be wrong, but I'll look it up in a second. I just thought that Jimmy didn't deliver this time. I feel like the media was looking for, and us as fans was looking for Jimmy to really step up and that playoff Jimmy role. But I feel like he was so defiant, and he felt like his guys were going to ascend to what they've been doing the whole playoffs. They never were able to get there. Bam Adebayo, if the Heat were to win that finals, Bam Adebayo would have been the finals MVP. So let's just look at his stats here. Jimmy Butler for the playoffs this year. Get right to it. Trying to find his stats. They don't even got him up here. Hold on. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so for the playoffs, Jimmy Butler averaged. Come on, man. His per game, he averaged 26.9. Gave out 6 rebounds, 6.5 rebounds, and then 6 assists. So it was definitely raised his play. He shot 46% from the field, 35% from the 3-point, and then free throw line. He was 80% from the free throw line. So going back to his bubble run, back at his first year in Miami, he averaged 22, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists in the NBA playoffs. So this is definitely one of his better runs. Last year, he had a slightly better run, giving out 27 points a game, 2 steals. Not as many assists, only 4.6, but he had averaged more rebounds with 7. So this is Jimmy Butler. You know, when he's clicking and playing well, the Heat are obviously one of the toughest teams to beat in the NBA. I mean, there's nothing that you could say against that. You know what I mean? All the analytics and all the stats show that there's nothing that you can even really go against that. And I saw a stat that said that since 2011, which this is pretty crazy to me, since 2011, the Miami Heat or the Golden State Warriors have been in the NBA Finals every single year except for 1 year. And not saying that they played each other, because they haven't played each other once in that span, but they've been, one of those two teams has been in the finals every single year since 2011, which is shows you those are probably the 2 best franchises in the NBA at this time right now. You know, they're able to shift, rebuild. You know, Golden State, obviously, they went to 5 finals in a row. Miami with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, they went to 4 in a row. And then Golden State won the championship last year, and then Miami was able to make it to the championship this year. They fell short. Miami made it to the championship in 2020 when we were all locked down. And in the only finals that we didn't see either the Miami Heat or the Golden State Warriors play for the Larry O'Brien Trophy was 2022 when the Suns played the Bucks. So I wanted to get into the free agency though. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Since 2011 or 2010, I would say that NBA free agency has always become like kind of a thing now. You can thank LeBron James for that, Kevin Durant. That they've been the biggest names to switch teams within the last 10 years. Going back to when I was a kid, Shaq leaving the Magic was the only one that I could really remember where a prominent player went to another team. That's really the only. As a free agent, of course, we've seen teams trade players and make deals and stuff like that. But as a free agent, to leave a good team and go to another team, Shaq was really the first to make that jump. So then LeBron, he's LeBron, and he sets the standard. And I remember watching an an interview with Udonis Haslem, and I don't even know if it was Udonis Haslem's interview. It might have been somebody else's interview. Don't hold me to that. But it was an NBA player, and they were saying, LeBron's status in the league, and they were having a meeting about the bubble. They were all inside the bubble, and I believe the shooting happened in the Milwaukee area of the brother. I'm forgetting his name right now. I want to say Jacob Blake is his name, but I could be wrong. I'm kind of freestyling this stuff right now. But yeah, I know he didn't die, but he was he's shot by the police, and the Milwaukee Bucks decided not to play a game, and then from there, the players had a meeting, and they were beating around the bush, and then Udonis Haslem steps up and said, "Yo, LeBron, if you playing, are you playing or not? If you're not playing, then none of us are playing, man." So LeBron, he decided to play, and it ended up getting him his 4th championship. So that was big, definitely big for the NBA, because a lot of things could have went wrong, and they were the only league other than the UFC to really do something during the pandemic. For the NFL, they were able to kind of swerve the pandemic a little bit because of where their season fell. So, but kind of digress in that part on that point. So yeah, so we got the NBA free agents coming up. Let me just pull up the free agency list here. So let's start with the former NBA champions, the Golden State Warriors. What can the Golden State Warriors do to get back to the NBA Finals or get back to the Western Conference Finals and becoming an elite team again? I think that Warriors should really make a play for either Porzingis. What I've seen right now is Draymond Green. He's not an unrestricted free agent, but he does have a player option of $27 million. I didn't expect Draymond Green to opt out of the $27 million, but from a lot of the different sources and a lot of the NBA talking heads, it appears that Draymond is going to opt out of that, and it looks like he's going to become a free agent. So a few teams that they've been talking about Draymond either going to was Los Angeles Lakers to play with LeBron and AD. I think is Draymond Green a better version of Rui Hachimura? I know he's going to do the little things, and he's great friends with LeBron James, but I don't like it. I think that he should stay with Golden State. I think that what really should, it's not my money, obviously, and I hate even saying players should take pay cuts, because I'm not taking a pay cut in my job for us to get great stats or whatever, and for the company to win overall. But it's not a competition in, my job is different than sports. So based on the salary cap and the new CBA, I would expect Draymond Green to want to be a Warrior for the end of this, till the end of the run. So I would see him signing a 4-year deal with about $50 million, right? So that's gonna bring his number down a lot. If he was to sign for 4 years, that's gonna bring his number down to about $12.5 million. From right now, like you said, he's $27.6 million he could opt into for the final year of his contract, but that means he would get a guaranteed $50 million, and he would be able to stay keep the dynasty rolling, and then kind of carve out his role for the Warriors going forward. And then it would be able to bring in some different players that have some more cap flexibility. Joe Lacob, the owner of the Warriors, has said that he doesn't care about the cap. He doesn't care about the money that needs to be spent. Bob Myers, the GM, who's was instrumental in the 4 championships, he stepped down, and he's looking to make his next journey and his next, possibly next build for a franchise, and hopefully bring them to a title. But the Warriors have inserted Mike Dunleavy Jr. If you're a basketball head, Mike Dunleavy, the father, senior. He was the coach for the Portland Trail Blazers and a few other teams. And Mike Dunleavy Jr. won the championship, I believe, with Duke. And he was a really good NBA player for a lot of years. So he's been, the understudy of Bob Myers for the last few years. And the organization feels like it's time for him to step into that role now that Bob is going to be moving on. So he's got some big shoes to fill, especially in this specific time span, because Clay, Steph, Draymond, they're getting up there. And then we had the Kuminga, Jordan Poole, and James Wiseman. They were all supposed to be like the next greats for the squad. And it's not panning out the way that the organization had hoped. Jordan Poole really flamed out in the playoffs, and Kuminga's not progressing as quickly as they would have liked. And Wiseman, they had to trade him. He's now part of the Detroit Pistons franchise, so they got rid of him. So we're going to see what they can do. I think that with Draymond taking a pay cut, and then, Klay Thompson will probably take a pay cut next year if he wants to stay on the team, and that'll give them some more cap flexibility. I know the NBA, like CBA talk, is horrible radio and horrible for a podcast, but I'd like to, in the future, break it down for a lot of people, because I've been reading it, and it's going to be tough for these teams that are over the second threshold of it's essentially like if you know anything about the NFL, it's a hard cap pause. And that's what they're doing in the NBA. So it's going to be hard to make moves. Once you get to a certain threshold, like the way it is now, let's say, we'll use Miami Heat for an example. Let's say Miami was trying to get Dame Lillard. Miami could take. Now, let me just frame it for you real quick. You have to match the player's salary. So the numbers, I'm not going to give you the exact numbers because I don't know off the top of my head right now, but for the most part, I do. So let's say Dame Lillard, he's making about $45 million per year, somewhere around there. With the way the CBA works now, Miami could take Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, and maybe another player and kind of aggregate them together and throw in some draft picks, and that will equal up to Dame Lillard's salary, and then they can make the trade. Going forward, you are not going to be able to do that. If you're in that second tier window of the salary cap, you won't be able to aggregate players for swaps. It'll have to be a player for player. So they would have to find another player that's making the same amount of money as Dame Lillard to even do a trade. So that's going to make it very hard to make trades. So like a Kevin Durant wouldn't even be in Phoenix with the way that it works right now, So just giving people a heads up on that. It's going to be a lot different going forward, man. Did you hear that? I haven't heard anything about that. I like that. I mean, I want to see Porzingis over with the Heat. I think he will be perfect to play next to Bam Adebayo. He can stretch the floor. He can rim protect. Only thing that is his injury history. But I think that next to Bam Adebayo, Porzingis is perfect. Or is playing next to Draymond Green, he would be perfect. So that's that. I mean, that I can't go against that. I mean, I feel like, oh man, is Porzingis gonna bring the Trailblazers and make them a contender? I don't think so. I think Zinger has to be like your fourth best player or third best player on the team, and not really be able to just do the little things as far as stretching the floor, shooting a good percentage, staying healthy. Of course, that's the main thing. And like I said before, rim protect. And he's always a matchup. He's always a matchup problem. He's 7'2", 7'1", or whatever he is. He's a matchup problem because he has a lot of guard skills. That's interesting. I didn't hear that. I did hear that they were looking to get Scoot Henderson. So Scoot Henderson I think is gonna be a potential, all NBA player and an all-star going forward once he gets in the league. See, I disagree. I feel like Bam is a power forward, man. And if he was to play with a center that could shoot, he could still play that center role, but I think that we saw his limitations when it came to the Joker. And I'm not saying that Porzingis is gonna stop the Joker. Of course not. But Porzingis is gonna provide like a different type of strategical, like a different strategy against the Joker, because he's 7'3" and the Joker can't just back him down and just shoot over him. And then with the Miami zone, I feel like Porzingis is agile enough to play within the zone. I think Miami is a great spot for him. I hope that I said it on Locked On Heat. Shout out to those guys. I want to see them go after Porzingis, but the talk has been Bradley Beal for the Miami Heat. They're looking to trade Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, and some draft picks for Bradley Beal. I just don't think that Bradley Beal at this point of his career is going to help, really. I don't want to sound like a hater. Bradley Beal has been a great player in the league, averaged 30 points a few years ago. But I just think with the injuries, and I don't know how he would really fit in there with good-looking Ryan, and how he would really fit in there with the Heat, man. I don't know. I definitely wouldn't want to give up Tyler Hero. The thing with Kyle Lowry, he is an asset because Kyle Lowry has a contract that's coming up. He's making $37 million. He's scheduled to make $37 million next year. So what that means is a team that acquires Kyle Lowry can either, get him on a buyout, and then they'll be able to open up their cap a little bit. Pause. Another situation is, that's why I consider him an asset. I could see him going back to Toronto for his final year, and just being more of a morale guy, kind of like a Haslam for his final year in the league. I mean, he'd be going into this 18th season. He played well this year in the playoffs, definitely. I think he's averaging 13 and 6 for the playoffs. So he definitely came to play this year, and he was a big part of Miami's run. But at this point, I think they got to get younger at the point guard spot, and somebody that's going to be there more so during the season than just just in the playoffs. But shout out to Kyle Lowry. He's definitely one of the reasons they made it to the finals. But I think that like I said, he should be kind of not at the centerpiece, because at this point he's not a centerpiece, but he's an asset at this point in his career for a team that's looking to rebuild, because you can get underneath the cap and it'll allow you to make some more moves going forward and get younger once you buy out Kyle Lowry. And then Duncan Robinson, who doesn't need a shooter? And then he's at a high number. He's the $90 million that he's making, not per season, but over the course of the contract. I think he's in his third year of the contract. Let's look it up real quick. Duncan Robinson. Yeah, so he signed a 5-year deal with Miami. He is 29 years old, and he's in the third year of that contract. So still has a lot of time left. So it would be 3 more years before he could come off the books. But they do have an early termination on the contract. So whoever picks up Duncan Robinson would have him for 2 more years, and they can early terminate the contract. And then he would be a free agent at 31 years old. So that's kind of where it fits for Duncan right now. But who doesn't need a shooter like Duncan Robinson? I mean, he was one of the best players for the Heat, and he didn't really play much during the regular season. His role diminished due to, a lot of his defensive liabilities. He was a defensive liability for the most part, but we saw that his game expanded a lot. He was able to get to the rim. But in the finals, Denver was able to really expose some of his shortcomings on the court. So let's get into some of these players so right now we're looking at Russell Westbrook. I'm not saying for the Heat. I'm just saying these are the free agents on the board right now. We got, let me bring that up for you. Hold on. Where are we? I don't know if you guys can see it. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah, we got Russell Westbrook. We got Chris Middleton, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Kristaps Porzingis, D'Angelo Russell, Kevin Love, Nikola Vucevic, Draymond Green, Fred VanVleet, Harrison Barnes, Jeremy Grant, Karis LeVert, Gary Trent Jr., Malik Beasley, Derrick Rose, Will Barton, Christian Wood, Brook Lopez. That's a big one right there, pause. Brook Lopez, I see him staying with Milwaukee, but at 13, he was an all-star this year. At $13 million, that's a steal. Kyle Kuzma, he can definitely be a good 6 man for a title contender. Jordan Clarkson, I don't expect him. I mean, unless he can garner more money, then maybe his player option, which is at $14 million. Josh Hart, I expect him to stay with the Knicks. Kelly Oubre, I don't know what Charlotte will do. They got new ownership, so they could be looking to go in a totally different direction. Who else we got here? Loading up kind of slow. Like I said, Kyle Kuzma is interesting. Maybe Washington decides to stay with him give him a bigger role in the squad. But I mean, I doubt that. But it could help them. I don't think they're gonna give him max money, but it could help them go as they continue to rebuild. They have some type of attraction. Oh man, I'm having some issues here, y'all. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. I had to restart the computer, but I see I had you had a question here from Brian. If you were the Heat's GM and you could have any one of these players, who would you go for? Christian Wood, Brooke Lopez, Kelly Olynyk, Vucevic, or Naz Reid? I think Brooke Lopez would be the best fit for Miami. since he's a defender and he can shoot the three. That's what they would be looking for. Kelly Olynyk, we've had him on the squad before. He was definitely a good player for us. I don't want to say great. He was a good, decent player for us. Nas Reed doesn't really fit with Bam Adebayo, I don't think. And I don't think Christian Wood is the type of defender that Spo would like in his system. So if I had to pick between those guys, I would go with Lopez. Oh, I skipped over Vucevic. Vucevic is a great shooter, good pick and roll guy. I don't know defensively if he could really fit in the scheme for the Heat. So if I had to pick anybody, I would go with Brook Lopez for sure. But like I said before, I'd like to see Porzingis over there. I think Porzingis would be a good fit for Miami. So we were getting into the free agency. And where was I? We got Josh Richardson, Dylan Brooks, Taylor Horton Tucker, and then we're starting to get into some super role players. So that's kind of the lineup for the free agency. Going forward with the NBA draft, this is supposed to be one of those drafts that is going to be memorable. Victor Wembanyama, the generational prospect out of France, he's supposed to go number 1 to the Spurs. Shout out to my guy Glenn Costello, because Glenn called it. He called it months ago. He said, "Man, what if Wembanyama goes to the Spurs with Popovich and their long-standing history with great centers?" He called it. I got to give him some props there. So we know he's going number 1. Brandon Miller, I think he's from Oklahoma. He had some issues with the legal issues. He's supposed to go number 2 or 3, and then of course Scoot Henderson. He's one of the best prospects I've seen coming into the NBA. He reminds me a lot of Derrick Rose. He doesn't have the hype that Derrick Rose had going into the NBA, but I like what Scoot gives out. So just going off I'm just going off what I've seen. We got Victor, like I said, Brandon Miller, Scoot Henderson, Thompson from Overtime Elite. He's been a big talk. Cam Whitmore, Anthony Black is another guy. Who else? Derek Lively, I think his name is. There's a lot of players that have garnered a lot of attention. And going forward, I want to see some of these G League and Overtime Elite players make what their transition will be, because I feel like players are going to kind of like move away from that. You're throwing some good questions, bro. I can't even lie to you. Harden will get a bigger contract than Kyrie, just for the simple fact Kyrie kind of goes against the system. And I'm not saying any collusion or anything like that. I don't want to throw that out there, but I don't think that Kyrie has played the political game the correct way with the league, so they could use that against him. Harden, on the other hand, hasn't played to the standards of of an all NBA player and a former MVP on the court, so that's what's kind of going to hinder him. But if I had to make a pick, I'd like to see Kyrie. I know it's bad, man. I know it's bad for me to say this, but I'd like to see Kyrie and Porzingis on the Heat. I think that they could get those two players at decent numbers where they wouldn't have to shred a lot of their talent that they have now. They could probably keep Tyler Hero, They could also probably keep some of the undrafted guys, Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Caleb Martin. They add Kyrie. I don't know how Kyrie would fit under the cap. But I know that they could get Porzingis if they were to trade Lowry and Robinson and maybe throw in a pick. Kyrie's situation would probably have to be a sign and trade with somebody too. But I don't know on a roster who. I feel like they could get Kyrie for like $13 million a year. I know that's a low number going from what he is now. What is his number now? If we look at his number, he's making $34 million. So, and he was an all-star. Probably Kyrie's a far-fetched. It would really have to be Kyrie or unless they go. I don't know. Let's see. Porzingis is $31 million too. Unless Porzingis takes like a big pay cut and they were able to take Robinson, I got faith in the Heat though, man. They could make these moves, but I would take Kyrie and Porzingis if they could add those two players. I think they could win a championship and keep the same core that they have: Hero, Butler, Adebayo. You may have to get rid of Robinson and then keep, the undrafted guys. Maybe even bring in some more undrafted guys if they can't keep Max Strus, if they can't keep Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent, they probably won't be able to keep because he's gonna garner some attention from some good teams. At the backup money, I think he's making like $1 million now. But going forward, he could get into that $8 to $10 million range. So that's a big jump for him. So whatever team offers him that, maybe Toronto, maybe the Spurs, go over there with Victor. I could definitely see Gabe jumping on that. So, yeah, I just wanted to wish everybody out there happy Father's Day if you're still tuned in. Is there anything else I wanted to talk about? Let me just look at the rundown real quick. Went over free agency. I gave props to the Nuggets. Trying to think what else we had lined up. Just give me a second. Yeah, I think that might be it. So I'll try to be back on this week before the draft. And then, yeah, Ja Morant. That's what I wanted to talk about before I go. So I had a post on Facebook, and it got heated between a lot of people, man. But I felt like, just giving my take on it, I felt like the NBA did exactly what I expected them to do. Hitting him with 25-game suspension. That stops him from being in any All-NBA talks. He could potentially still be an all-star, but he's not going to be an all-NBA player, which is potentially taking about $50 million out of his pocket. And, man, I just hate to see it. Hopefully he can get back on the right path. And, a lot of people were saying on the post, and even I was toting the line because Ja Morant didn't commit any crimes. He didn't do anything too egregious. But what he did do is that he lied to the commissioner. And it's basically like if you were at a regular job, right? And the CEO came to you and was saying, listen, man, you can't wear sneakers anymore to the job. We got a different policy against sneakers, like, so you can't wear sneakers. We need you to have steel toe work boots, right? So like, and you say, okay, yeah, no problem, man. I'm gonna wear the work boots. Da 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 da. So then you go on live later on that day. Yeah, fuck work boots, man. You got your sneakers up, like, yeah, sneakers. sneakers all day. So then you show up to the job again without your work boots. What's going to happen? You're getting out of there, man. You had a damn talk with the CEO. The CEO told you, stop wearing your damn sneakers, put on some work boots. Now, that's not a great analogy. Something that I just came up with real quick, but you understand the you know, what I'm getting at on that. So it's basically he's showing his defiance for the authority of the NBA, and you can't do that when it's a job, man, and you gotta abide by the strict guidelines of that particular job. So I just wanted to talk about that. We reached the 51-minute mark, so happy Father's Day to everybody out there. I'm about to get off of this and go, probably with my kids and my wife and my family. Thank you guys for tuning in, and hopefully I'll get back on this in a few days, maybe Tuesday night or Tuesday morning. I want to start with the mornings again. I like the mornings. I think it's good sports talk for the morning. So, but I'll try to put up at least a heads up for people to get up on the show and stuff and tap in. So it's your boy DJ Duya. Shout out to my guy Busy. Like I said, he couldn't be here today, but it's up for debate. The one and only. Let's go.
Let's get into it. Yeah.